Pop star Katy Perry and her all-female Blue Origin space journey. So we've long had fake moon landing conspiracy theorists, but now people are saying that even this was faked. Just have a little look at a little clip here where you see after the capsule has landed back on Earth, the door seems to open from the inside. It's not supposed to be able to do that. And then a few minutes later, Jeff Bezos comes running along and opens it from the outside. And this has got the world of conspiracy theorists and I guess a lot of people laughing their socks off. But have a quick look.
What's going to come out of her mouth, but really her heart?
And is that Jeff Bezos out there? Oh.
You didn't really close it again.
The most recent development in the story of Jeff Bezos and his space travel aspirations has taken an unexpected and dramatic turn in a world where billionaires are increasingly looking to space as their next frontier. The industry was buzzing when Katy Perry, a pop sensation and well-known backer of Bezos' space research endeavors, made an astounding revelation. Perry has been open about receiving millions of dollars for her participation in a space mission that eventually failed miserably. In a rare outburst of annoyance, she questioned the mission's authenticity and how it could have been completed in just 11 minutes. Following a string of incidents that surprised the public and industry insiders, this remark was made. Bezos, who has been having trouble with Amazon's diminishing user base, originally looked to space exploration as a possible source of additional income and a means of drawing attention from around the world. His business, Blue Origin, sought to transform space travel and increase its accessibility for the general public. However, the most recent mission has cast severe doubt on the venture's future, despite the initial excitement and the publicity. Profiled support of celebrities like Perry. Perry claims that barely 11 minutes after liftoff, the mission, which was supposed to represent a turning point for the space tourism sector, ended tragically. The music artist, who had helped promote the mission, says the brief experience left her feeling bewildered and disappointed. How could 11 minutes have passed? The entire experience felt hurried and far from the great vision that had been promised, she said. The mission was intended to be a landmark event in the space tourism industry, providing a once-in-a-lifetime chance for a few prominent people. According to reports, Perry, who had expressed her enthusiasm for the space mission, received millions of dollars to take part. The endeavor held out the prospect of an experience that would boost Blue Origin's reputation and show that the business could meet its ambitious objectives. Nevertheless, the mission's actual performance fell short of expectations. This most recent setback coincides with growing criticism of Bezos' space ambitions. Bezos has attempted to reposition himself as a pioneer in the nascent space tourism sector since handing over control of Amazon to his qualified successors. However, he has not had a good few months. Given Amazon's difficulties attracting customers, the space project has fallen short of expectations, leading many to wonder if his efforts represent the true future of human exploration or just an expensive publicity gimmick. Although Bezos has mostly kept quiet about the most recent episode, others close to the billionaire have alluded to his mounting annoyance. According to insiders, the trip was designed as part of a bigger plan to rekindle interest in Blue Origin and demonstrate that space travel might be the next big thing. However, it appears that the current failure has just led to increased suspicion. Reports that the spacecraft malfunctioned minutes into the flight caused the mission, which had been widely marketed as a success, to fall apart. The 11-minute duration did not allow for the sensation of wonder and awe that the corporation had promised, yet it was not a complete failure in the conventional sense. Perry's outspoken dissatisfaction with the state of affairs only serves to heighten concerns about Blue Origin's future. Bezos intended the space endeavor to be more than a side project. It was intended to serve as a reminder of his lasting influence and solidify his historical status. However, the dream is already beginning to resemble a nightmare due to a slew of technological difficulties, financial setbacks, and declining public enthusiasm. Perry's remarks make it very evident that the glamorous realm of space travel is not at all the utopia that it was once depicted as. The reality is more messier than the tantalizing prospect of venturing into the unknown and pushing the limits of human accomplishment. Even the wealthiest and most powerful are finding it difficult to overcome the many challenges that stand in the way of making space travel a profitable industry. From broken spaceships to disillusioned celebrities, it makes sense that Perry is frustrated. Her support of Blue Origin, as one of the most well-known pop musicians in the world, was viewed as a huge win for Bezos and his business. However, it appears that the dazzling promises of space tourism may be fading in the wake of this unsuccessful expedition. The disparity between expectations and reality in the field of space exploration is exemplified by Perry's receipt of millions of dollars for what ultimately amounted to a short and disappointing voyage into space. The question now is whether Bezos' space ambitions can withstand this most recent disaster. The mission's failure is a tough pill to swallow for a guy who has invested billions to establish himself as a space pioneer. Bezos is at a turning point in his career due to increasing pressure from investors and detractors. The future of Blue Origin is unclear, and it is unclear if Bezos can win back the public's confidence or if this setback will signal the beginning of the end for his space endeavor. All things considered, space travel is still very new. The mission's failure, however, is a glaring loss, a reminder that even the most ambitious and well-funded undertakings may go wrong. The stakes are extremely high for Bezos and Blue Origin, and their path to redemption is probably going to be a difficult and drawn-out one. However, for the time being, Katy Perry's annoyance and her increasing disenchantment with Blue Origin portend a difficult future. Although the space competition is obviously far from over, the goal of making space tourism a commonplace industry appears to be getting farther away with every mission that fails. The controversy surrounding Jeff Bezos and his space company, Blue Origin, is still getting worse in the wake of Katy Perry's audacious remarks. The billionaire's ambitious plan to make space travel a commonplace reality is currently under intense investigation, with many wondering if Bezos and his business's grandiose claims were just a smokescreen to improve his reputation and divert attention from the growing difficulties at Amazon. The public and business elites are now criticizing Bezos for not living up to his promises, despite the fact that he once enthralled the globe with his aspirations to lead the new frontier of human discovery. His multi-million-dollar investment in Blue Origin was hailed as the next big step for humanity, a means of reviving the idea of space exploration and making space travel accessible to the general public. However, the company's credibility is starting to erode after several highly publicized missions. Perry's space voyage has come to represent the disintegration of Blue Origin. The space tourism endeavor is now perceived as little more than a glorified thrill trip for the ultra-wealthy, given claims that the mission lasted only 11 minutes and the lack of clarity surrounding what was accomplished. Despite Bezos' earlier claims that Blue Origin would be revolutionary, the actual outcome has been far less spectacular. The mission has not transformed space travel. Instead, it has raised questions about the company's capacity to get over the many logistical and technical obstacles in its path. Despite Bezos' substantial riches, critics have quickly noted that Blue Origin has not been able to match the success of competitors like Elon Musk's SpaceX. Blue Origin's mission record is still disappointing. Despite SpaceX's repeated success in launching and landing reusable rockets, and even the fact that it has begun deploying humans to the ISS. Despite Bezos' billion-dollar investment in the space race, his company's accomplishments pale in comparison to SpaceX's milestones. However, distrust has been sparked by more than just the absence of achievements. It is the increasing perception that Bezos is more concerned with enhancing his reputation as a significant contributor to space exploration. These worries have only grown as a result of the recent controversy surrounding the 11-minute mission, with many people questioning how a journey of this brief length could be considered successful. The fact that Perry, a world-renowned celebrity, participated in such a short and unremarkable trip begs the issue of what the true goal of the endeavor was. Was it merely a publicity gimmick to improve Blue Origin's reputation, or was it truly about space exploration? Although Bezos has not commented on the criticism, it is clear that pressure is growing. According to corporate insiders, Blue Origin is dealing with a growing number of internal issues, such as technical problems and a lack of enthusiasm from customers in its space tourism products. Even after Bezos invested enormous amounts of money in the initiative, the business has not yet turned a profit, and the inability to draw in more clients has led many to doubt its long-term sustainability. Since the mission failed, the situation has only become worse. If the purpose of Blue Origin was to convince the public that space travel is possible, the tragic mission has accomplished the exact opposite. It has raised questions about the viability of such an ambitious aim, rather than proving that space travel is about to become a mainstream industry. Blue Origin's reputation is suffering as the public keeps criticizing Bezos for his failure to deliver. This most recent setback is a serious setback to Bezos' goals. The space market is fiercely competitive, and Blue Origin's mistakes are obvious given SpaceX's ongoing advancements. A lot of people are starting to question whether Bezos is out of his element when it comes to the intricacies of spaceflight, or whether his idea was just too far ahead of its time. In any case, public interest in his space mission is declining. It is evident that Bezos is not giving in the face of the criticism. Even while detractors continue to undermine the credibility of his endeavors, he is steadfast in his commitment to the idea of opening up space to individuals with substantial financial resources. It is unclear if he will be able to restore Blue Origin's reputation, but one thing is for sure: the path ahead will be far more difficult than Bezos had anticipated. Ultimately, his inability to demonstrate the viability of his space journey simply serves to highlight the more general query of whether space tourism is a realistic prospect or merely another pipe dream that falls short of its ambitious goals. It is becoming more and more obvious that Bezos may have overestimated how hard it would be to make his space fantasy a reality, especially as concerns about Blue Origin's execution grow. The billionaire must overcome not only technological obstacles, but also the mounting perception that his endeavor is merely a high-profile and expensive failure if he is to stay competitive in the space race. Time is running out, and every setback makes the goal of bringing spaceflight to the general public a reality more elusive.